Africa's format consists of 9 groups, 6 teams, which means I have 54 more teams to preview. Kill me now. Only the group winners qualify for the World Cup, and the 4 best second place teams go to a mini tournament, and the winner of that goes to the Intercontinental Playoffs with 1 Asian team and 4 other teams. Group A has Egypt, Burkina Faso, Guinea-Bissau, Sierra Leone, Ethiopia, and Djibouti. Egypt had 3 appearances in 1934, 1990, and 2018. 2018 was supposed to be the great return for the Egyptians, but Mo Salah's injury made it derail very quickly, and they flamed out in the bottom of the group, losing to Saudi Arabia. Egypt were so close to Qatar, but got blinded by lasers. They have the most AFCON titles also, with 7, and they recently lost on penalties against DR Congo to crash out early. None of the other teams have made it to the World Cup, but Burkina Faso has come so agonizingly close to making it. The best chance of qualifying came back in 2014 when they made it to the playoffs and lost to Algeria on away goals. Last time they were so close to making it to the final round, after being undefeated, but finished with 2 points behind Algeria. They also usually have underdog runs in AFCON with their best finish in 2013 as runners-up, this time losing to Nigeria. But they did have an early exit in the round of 16 in the most recent AFCON, so who knows what can happen. In 2022 qualifying, Guinea-Bissau finally made it past the first round for the first time in their history and finished second in a group with Morocco and Guinea, so they will hope to build from that. They have never gotten past the groups in 4 appearances in the AFCON. Sierra Leone have only 1 appearance in the final round, but if you don't count that because literally every team was in it, then it's in 2014 and 2010 where they finished 3rd. The most famous result is in the AFCON, despite never getting out of their group. They held Algeria, the reigning champions at the time, to a draw in 2021. Last qualification, they couldn't even get out of the first round to Liberia. Ethiopia have won the AFCON back in 1962 when they were a powerhouse. Nowadays though, they're just happy to be in the tournament. They almost qualified in 2014, topping their group with South Africa, but they had to beat Nigeria when they were actually competent at football. Djibouti are one of the only teams to never compete in the AFCON, and they never made it to the final round. But they've gone past the first round twice in 2010 and 2022, where they were the whipping boys and got 0 points both times. Group B has Senegal, Dr. Congo, Mauritania, Togo, Sudan, and South Sudan. Sure, that's gonna end well. Senegal have 3 appearances in the World Cup, and they have impressed everyone, including in their best run in 2002 when they beat the reigning champions France. 2018 saw them beat group favorites Poland, but also had them miss out on the round of 16 on yellow cards. In 2022, they scored a winning goal to progress back to the knockout stage against Ecuador. And in 2021, they won their first ever AFCON against Egypt on penalties. And in their most recent AFCON, they went out in the round of 16 on penalties to eventual champions Ivory Coast. Dr. Congo have 1 World Cup appearance as Zaire in 1974, where they lost all their games without scoring a single goal, including a 9-0 defeat to Yugoslavia. After advancing out of the group by the skin of their teeth, which they should have cakewalked, they had a shock draw against Morocco, and right before the second leg, they were spotted eating more food than Nikocado avocado and lost 4-1. They have also won the AFCON twice, in 1968 and 1974. In 2023 though, they made it all the way to the semifinals in one of the best underdog runs in the tournament. Mauritania have never made it to the final round of qualifying, and their best attempts saw them finish last in the second round in 2010 and 2022. But they are on the rise after beating Algeria to make it to the knockouts of the AFCON for the first time ever since making their debut in 2019. Emmanuel Adebayor led Togo to the World Cup back in 2006 during their golden generation, but they lost all their games. In the 2010 AFCON, a team bus attack led to the end of their golden generation as their stars left, but despite that, made it to the AFCON quarterfinals in 2013. Best ever finish, but they haven't seen the tournament since 2017. Sudan have never qualified for the World Cup, with their best finish in qualified coming all the way back in 1970 and recently in 2002, where both times they finished 3rd, and in 1970 they were 2 points away from the top. In 2002, they were 4 points away from Nigeria. In that same year of 1970, they went on to win the AFCON, but it hasn't been the same since, with civil wars plaguing the nation from reaching those heights. South Sudan had their first ever match in 2012 and are the youngest nation in the world, so it's no surprise but they haven't qualified for a single major tournament and have less history than my favorite team, Manchester City. Group C has Nigeria, South Africa, Benin, Zimbabwe, and Lesotho. Nigeria have 6 World Cup appearances and made it to the round of 16, 3 times in 1994, 1998, and 2014. In every World Cup, they are hilariously always in the same group as Argentina, but in 2022 they missed out after winning a contest to see who could play more underwhelming football against Ghana. They have 3 AFCON titles in 1980, 1994, and in 2013, and in 2023 they somehow made it to the final. They have produced some of the best attacking talent in the world, and yet every time their manager somehow manages to play worse than Anguilla. South Africa played 3 World Cups in 1998, 2002, and 2010, and have never escaped the groups due to luck, as in 2002 they missed out on goals scored and 2010 saw them miss out on goal difference. 2010 is their most iconic after Shabalala scored and did his iconic dance. They have won the AFCON once in 1996 and most recently beat Morocco in the round of 16 and finished 3rd. Last campaign they would have made it to the final round had the ref have less IQ than that one autistic kid in my class. Benin have no appearances in the World Cup, but came so close, 3 points behind Ghana in 2010. In 2022, they were close to qualifying for the final playoff round, but Dr. Congo violated the substitution rules, and because of their cheating, they were eliminated. In the 2019 AFCON, however, they did make it to the quarterfinals, but never could build upon that success as they didn't even qualify for the 2021 and 23 editions. Zimbabwe have never qualified for the World Cup, but came so close in 2002, but couldn't beat South Africa, and also in 1994 when a heartbreaking loss to Cameroon on the final day ended their hopes. In 5 appearances, they have never gotten out of the group stage in AFCON. It's not looking good for Zimbabwe though, as they finished last in the World Cup qualifying group in 2022 and lost to Somalia in the previous round before then. Rwanda made it to the final round twice, back-to-back in 2006 and 2010, where they finished last both times, and in AFCON, they have only 1 measly appearance back in 2014 when they couldn't get out of the groups. And last campaign, they finished dead last behind the likes of Kenya and Uganda. And finally for Lesotho, who have never made it to any major international tournament. About history, yeah, Lesotho don't have much, but in qualifying, their best appearance came in 2014, finishing 3rd in the second round. And in 2018 and 2022, they lost on away goals to Comoros and Ethiopia to barely miss out on the second round. In Group D, there's Cameroon, Cape Verde, Libya, Angola, Eswatini, and Mauritius. Cameroon's best result goes back to 1990 when Roger Milla single-handedly carried Cameroon to the quarterfinals. They have never made it past the groups since then though, but in the 2022 World Cup they beat Brazil in the dying minutes with an Abubakar header. They also have 5 AFCON titles, most recently in 2017. Cape Verde have never qualified for the World Cup, and their best performances in qualifying came in 2006 and 2018, where they finished 5th and 3rd in the final round. They also finished 2nd in the second round group in 2010, 2014, and 2022, where they gave Nigeria an early scare. They also have pretty good AFCON performances, and in 2013 and 2023, they reached the quarterfinals. Angola qualified in 2006 and got 2 points against Mexico and Iran, and narrowly lost to Portugal but haven't been back since. 2 years after that feat, they made it to the quarterfinals in 2008 and did it in 2010 and 2023 as well. And 2023 was special as they topped a group with Algeria and Burkina Faso. Libya are at a huge disadvantage compared to other teams in North Africa due to civil wars constantly plaguing the country, and as a result have never qualified for the World Cup, but they came so close in 1986 but had to face Morocco. In 2010 they missed out on the final round due to goal difference, and in 2014 qualifying they were just 4 points away from the top. They will hope to bounce back after 2 abysmal campaigns, finishing 3rd both times. Eswatini have never qualified for a major international tournament. They almost made it to the final round in 2010 when they were 2 points behind Togo. And in 1994, they were 3 points behind Cameroon. They haven't got even close since then and lost to Djibouti, of all teams, in 2022 qualified. In Group E, though, we have Morocco, Zambia, Congo, Tanzania, Niger, and Eritrea. Morocco have 7 appearances in the World Cup, and 2022 was the most memorable by far, making the best underdog story that whole tournament, beating giants like Belgium, Spain, and Portugal. In the AFCON, they have 1 title to their name, back in 1976, but in the most recent AFCON, they lost on penalty to Dr. Congo in the round of 16, but this group should be a cakewalk for them. Zambia have made the final round numerous times, but the best chance of qualifying came in 1994, when they were 1 point away from qualifying. In the 2012 AFCON, they went on the biggest underdog runs and won the whole tournament. But now with their performances in qualifying getting worse over time, and not making it into 3 AFCONs in a row, it's not looking good. Congo's best shot at making the World Cup was in 1998 when they heartbreakingly lost to South Africa on the final day. Recently in qualifying, they've had underwhelming performance after underwhelming performance. They did win the AFCON though in 1972, but haven't made it to the past 4 editions. Every time Tanzania made it to the second round, they have finished 3rd, and when the second round was instead a playoff, not a group stage, they couldn't beat their opposition. All the times Tanzania have qualified for the AFCON, they couldn't get out of the groups, most recently in 2023. In 1994 qualifying, Niger were 1 point away from making it to the final round, but they haven't gotten even close since then and finished 3rd in their group in 2022. They have only 2 AFCON appearances back-to-back in 2012 and 2013 and couldn't get out of the groups. Eritrea withdrew before the first matches played and has 0 appearances in any major international tournament. Now for Group F, which has AFCON winners Ivory Coast, Gabon, Kenya, Gambia, Burundi, and the Seychelles. Ivory Coast, as just previously mentioned, won the AFCON this year and in 1992 and 2015. They also qualified for 3 consecutive World Cups from 2006 to 2014, but missed out on qualifying for 2018 and 2022 after Morocco and Cameroon went clutch. Gabon have never qualified for the World Cup because of many underwhelming performances. They came close in 2010 but couldn't get past Cameroon and Togo of all teams. They have 2 quarterfinal appearances in 1996 and the 2012 AFCONs, but they recently missed out on the 2023 AFCON, so I swear Gabon are like the Norway of Africa. They have talent, but they just don't perform. Kenya are god-awful in qualifying and the AFCON for some reason, and couldn't even beat Uganda in their last qualification campaign. And they have never gotten out of the groups, but their best attempt was in 1998 where they beat Algeria to make the final round, and they were 3 points away in 3rd from Nigeria. Gambia in the 2021 AFCON made it to the quarterfinals in an underdog run, but they have not built upon that and didn't even beat Angola in the first round last qualification. Couldn't get out the groups in the most recent AFCON, so pretty much they are screwed. They did almost make it to the final round in 2010 when they were 1 point behind Algeria but haven't even come close since. Burundi have 1 measly appearance in the 2019 AFCON where they crashed out of the groups. Their best appearance in qualifying is when they finished 3rd in the second round in 2010 qualifying, so they do not stand a chance. But at least they aren't the Seychelles, who haven't gotten a single win in qualifying and have 0 AFCON appearances. Group G has Algeria, Guinea, Uganda, Mozambique, Botswana, and Somalia. Algeria have made it to 4 World Cups, and in their debut, they beat Germany and Chile and got screwed over by a match fixing scandal. Their best run, though, is in 2014, where they finished 2nd and held Germany to extra time. They haven't qualified since, though, after finishing last in their group during 2018 and bottling their lead in the dying minutes of the match against Cameroon in 2022. They won 2 AFCONs in 1990 and 2019, but they haven't gone past the groups ever since. Guinea have never qualified, but came so agonizingly close in 1998 and missed out by 1 point. In 2022, though, the country fell into civil war and finished 3rd without a single win. They didn't make it to the quarterfinals, however, in the most recent AFCON, so there is hope. Also, they did finish 2nd once back in 1976. Uganda once finished runners-up in the 1978 AFCON, but have never qualified for the World Cup. Their best attempt came in 2018 when they were 4 points behind Egypt in second. They have finished second in either the third or second round for the past 3 qualifying runs, but were far from making the final round in 2022. Mozambique have 0 appearances in the World Cup and 5 appearances in the AFCON, where they couldn't escape the groups, including in 2023, the most recent edition. In their best run, they only finished 3rd in the final round, and in 2022 they lost to Malawi. In 2006, qualifying Botswana made it to the final round and finished 5th. And haven't even gotten close since. They only played once in the AFCON in 2012 and didn't get out of the groups. Somalia only got their first ever win in 2022, qualifying against Zimbabwe. And obviously have never qualified for the World Cup or AFCON. Group H has Tunisia, Equatorial Guinea, Namibia, Malawi, Liberia, and Sao Tome and Principe. Tunisia have 6 appearances and have never made it past the groups, and despite beating France, they couldn't get out of the groups after losing to Australia in 2022. And Tunisia's players are aging, and that was evident when they crashed out of the groups in the most recent AFCON. They do have one AFCON win also in 2004, but they have slowly been on the decline ever since the World Cup, so they will probably qualify, but after that, they won't go far. Equatorial Guinea almost made it to the final round in 2022 and beat Tunisia, who are in their group, which makes things a lot more interesting. They have never qualified for the World Cup, but have 4 AFCON appearances and have made it to at least the knockouts each time, with the best performance in 2015, finishing 4th. Namibia finally didn't get last in their qualifying group for the first time ever in 2022, finishing 3rd, but they recently beat Tunisia to make it to the round of 16, who are in their group. So this will be even more interesting, with Equatorial Guinea and Tunisia already having history. Malawi have never qualified for the World Cup and made it to the final round once in 2010, but they finished 3rd with only 1 win. They did make it to the round of 16 in the 2021 AFCON for the first time ever, and followed that up by not even qualified for the next tournament. When you think of Liberia, you think of 2 things: the USA ripoff and George Weah, who carried Liberia to nearly qualify for the World Cup in 2002, but sadly they were 1 point away from Nigeria. They haven't come close since then, and last time in qualifying they only finished 3rd. In the AFCON they have 2 appearances in 1996 and 2002, where George Weah couldn't lead Liberia out of the groups. Sao Tome and Principe, yeah, they exist, I guess. Now finally Group I, we've gone over almost 100 teams already. I hate this, jeez. Anyways, we have Mali, Ghana, Madagascar, Central African Republic, Comoros, and Chad. Mali are probably the best team to never qualify for the World Cup, and their best chance came in 2022 when they topped their group and scored an own goal in the playoff to miss out. They came close to winning the AFCON in 1972, but they lost their cargo. In 2010, Ghana almost made the semifinals, but Luis Suarez did this and Ghana agonizingly missed their penalty and then lost on penalties. But in 2022 they returned to the World Cup and put up great fights and prevented Uruguay from advancing to the round of 16, preventing them from scoring the 3rd goal that they needed. They also have 6 AFCON titles but haven't won since 2013. This should be an easy group for Ghana, but you can just never tell these days, especially after they lost to the goddamn Comoros in 2021 AFCON. And this time in 2023, couldn't get out of the groups again. Madagascar's best appearance in qualifying is a 5th place finish in the final round in 2002. They did make the quarterfinals in the 2019 AFCON though, but haven't been back since. The Central African Republic, aka CAR, vroom vroom, almost qualified for the most recent AFCON, but choked in the final match day. The best finish was last place in qualifying in 2022, but they did beat Nigeria. In the 2021 AFCON, the Comoros somehow beat Ghana and shocked the world to make it to the round of 16. Their best performances in 2018, where they beat Lesotho on away goals to qualify for the 2nd round, where they lost to Ghana, who are in their group, so this is gonna get spicy. Now Chad, who have never lived up to their meme name, with 0 appearances in any tournament, made it to the 2nd round twice in 2010 and 2018, where in 2010 they finished last with 2 wins, and in 2018 where they won against Egypt. Speaking of Egypt, they've gotten off to a perfect start with 6 of 6 points. First 6-0 against Djibouti and then 2-0 with Trezeguet scoring 2 against Sierra Leone. Burkina Faso and Guinea-Bissau play, with Guinea-Bissau taking a shock lead before Burkina Faso equalized. Burkina Faso got a win against Ethiopia, and so did Guinea-Bissau, narrowly beating Djibouti 1-0. 4-0. Ethiopia and Sierra Leone couldn't be separated and both lost their next games. Egypt are top with 6 of 6 points. Burkina Faso and Guinea-Bissau are joint second with both of them having 4 points, and they will be fighting for second. Sierra Leone and Ethiopia are hanging in there, while Djibouti are toast already. A fight between Senegal and Sudan of all teams has emerged, with Senegal ahead on goal difference with a 4-0 win against South Sudan and a goalless draw against Togo. Sudan scored early against Togo before Togo equalized. They got a shock result against Dr. Congo, which leaves Dr. Congo in third. Togo are right behind them with 2 points. Mauritania were busy losing to Dr. Congo and drawing against South Sudan, which leaves both of them joint bottom. Group C is seeing something special. Our Rwanda Hotels are top of the group after getting a draw against Zimbabwe and beating South Africa 2-0. South Africa are right behind them after a 2-1 win against Benin with goals from Tau and Mudau. Everyone else except Benin are tied on points with 2 after numerous draws. Benin are bottom, but did put up a good fight against South Africa, so they're not out of it just yet. Cameroon got a 3-0 win against Mauritius, and after taking the lead against Libya, ended up bottom. Libya did also get a win against Eswatini to have them tied on points with Cameroon and Cape Verde. Speaking of Cape Verde, they drew against Angola and got a 2-0 win with Ryan Mendes and Jamiro Monteiro finding the back of the net. Angola got 2 draws, but one of them was against Mauritius, which is not good for Angola's hopes. Mauritius, you may not have a single goal, but at least you have a point. And if you're from Eswatini, good luck. I understand if you want to kill yourself. Zambia and Congo kicked off Group B. Patson Daka scored early before Congo equalized and then took the lead 2 minutes later. Zambia then equalized before halftime, and then Sagala scored the winner in the 69th minute before Patson Daka sealed the win in injury time to end the spectacle of the match. Not as much drama in this game, but Mbwana scored the only goal to win Tanzania the match. Niger, though, beat Zambia 2-1 after goals from Mutari and Gumi. Morocco beat Tanzania with a goal from Ziyech, and Tanzania scored in their own net. This leaves Morocco, Zambia, Tanzania, and Niger with 3 points, but Morocco have the advantage with the game in hand. Congo, though, after bottling against Zambia, will be disappointed with their start to qualifying. Ivory Coast got off to a great start in Group F with a 9-0 thrashing over the Seychelles. They then beat Gambia 2-0 with goals from Kouame and Sekou Fofana. Gabon, despite going down to Kenya, came back thanks to Buanga and Kanga. They got the job done in Burundi with Alavina opening the scoring and Buanga scoring his 2nd goal of the campaign. Kenya, after choking against Gabon, bounced back, destroyed the Seychelles 5-0. Burundi and Gambia played each other, with Burundi taking a sharp lead thanks to Bigiri Mana, and then Nsabi Yumba doubled their lead just 4 minutes later. Gambian star player Musa Barrow pulled one back, but then Burundi sealed the win with a goal from Abdullah, and despite a penalty and injury time by Ebri Makali, Burundi held on to victory. Yes, Burundi. The standings leave Ivory Coast top with 6 of 6 points in dominating fashion, with Gabon right behind them. The two will play next window. Burundi and Kenya are both tied on points and put up decent efforts against Gabon and should be proud of their performances. Gambia are being underwhelming like always, despite the talent they possess, but at least they aren't the Seychelles, who haven't even scored a goal yet. Algeria have gotten off to a great start, but still, they are on fraud watch after conceding to Somalia. And against Mozambique, 2 goals from Chaibi and Zerouki sealed the win. Guinea played against Uganda, and they took the lead early through Kamara, but 20 minutes later, Bayo equalized for Uganda. It stayed the same, and it looked like it was going to stay level until Cisse snatched the win at the death. They then proceeded to follow that up, losing to Botswana to a Si Kanyang goal. Uganda, after bottling in the final seconds, redeemed themselves with Mato scoring the only goal. Mozambique and Botswana faced off and opened scoring through Lesio. Ratifo then doubled their lead before Botswana pulled one back. Muimo scored a 3rd and the match ended 32. These results leave Algeria top of the group, while every other team except Somalia has 3 points. Tunisia beat Sao Tome and Principe 4-0 and followed that up with a narrow 1-0 victory against Malawi, with a penalty scored by Misaki. Emilio Ansue scored 2 goals, one against Namibia and another against Liberia to win both games 1-0. But oh wait, Emilio Ansue has been found ineligible to play for Equatorial Guinea, and the matches are awarded 3-0 wins to Namibia and Liberia, and the suffering begins for Equatorial Guinea. Namibia then beat Sao Tome and Principe with goals from Tiweza and an own goal. Malawi won 1-0 against Liberia, thanks to a winner by Mfasi. Tunisia are on top but are on fire alert after barely scraping through against Malawi. Namibia are second after their win. Liberia and Malawi are right behind them, breathing down their necks. Equatorial Guinea fans are already depressed, but at least they've scored more goals than Sao Tome and can actually win games. Group I is ridiculous at this point. The Comoros are top of the group. First, they played Central African Republic and fell behind, scoring an own goal. Then they equalized and then took the lead. They then scored 2 more goals and they ended 4-2. Then in the big match, Comoros against Ghana, and a goal by Mizaim Malida secured the win that has put the entire nation of Ghana on alert. Mali got a 3-1 win against Chad and bottled against Central African Republic, thanks to Kondogbia carrying this nation for the 1000th time. Ghana scored a 90th minute winner against Madagascar thanks to Naki Williams, and Madagascar bounced back with a 3-0 win over Chad. The results see, as we all know, Comoros top, with Mali right behind them. Ghana and Madagascar are breathing down Mali's neck. Meanwhile, Central African Republic are just hanging in there. In the June window, Egypt continued their great start with Trezeguet scoring a brace, this time against Burkina Faso. They had to play Guinea-Bissau next, and despite falling behind early, Mo Salah saved Egypt yet again, and they escaped with a point. Burkina Faso played Sierra Leone after their loss and scored 2 goals in 7 minutes, with Dango Ouattara and Lassina Traore finding the back of the net. Sierra Leone then started their comeback, thanks to goals from Garbo and Bakayoko to secure an important point. Guinea-Bissau also got a goalless draw against Ethiopia. Sierra Leone got a win against Djibouti before their comeback and took the lead through Davies before Djibouti were awarded a penalty, with Dabsy converting it. Garbo scored his second goal in qualifying, however, to win the game. Djibouti and Ethiopia couldn't be separated and played in a 1-1 draw. Egypt are still top with 10 points, while Guinea-Bissau are surprisingly in second. Burkina Faso will hope to improve after their god-awful performances, and Sierra Leone have kept their hopes alive. Ethiopia are still in it as well with 2 points this window, but that draw against Djibouti will ask questions. Senegal continued their great start with Ismaila Sarr scoring before halftime until Mayele scored a late equalizer to keep Dr. Congo alive. Senegal then followed that up with a 1-0 win in Mauritania. Following Senegal's ball drop against Dr. Congo, though, Sudan took full advantage, opening the scoring against Mauritania through Thierry and scoring 14 minutes later from an own goal for a 2-0 win. The Sudan derby was nuts, and Kader gave Sudan the lead and Muzmo doubled it. Al-Gabal put the icing on the cake as Sudan proved they are the better Sudan. After Dr. Congo's draw with Senegal, Elias scored an early goal to win the match for Dr. Congo against Togo. Togo somehow drew South Sudan, but they draw literally everyone. Sudan are somehow top of the table, miraculously, barely out of Senegal. Dr. Congo bounced back this window, and Togo will hope to finally learn how to win. Rwanda streak came to an end, losing to Benin. Doku scoring the goal. Wrong one. Rwanda though bounced back with a win against Lesotho, Nirza scoring the goal. South Africa had the lead against Nigeria, but bottled the worst Nigerian side in recent times. They did bounce back with a win at home against Zimbabwe though. Benin, after beating Rwanda, beat Nigeria, and despite going down early, Dosu equalized and Mooney scored a last-minute winner. Lesotho are still in there as well with a 2-0 win in Zimbabwe, with goals from Reset Hansa and the Banso. Rwanda are still somehow joint top along with South Africa and Benin, while Lesotho are trailing right behind them. And as for Nigeria and Zimbabwe, they are pretty much screwed. Cameroon destroyed their biggest contender in their group, Cape Verde 4-1, with Abubakar scoring a brace. They did draw against Angola after an early Brian and Mbeumo goal. Angola equalized after Cameroon's version of Harry Maguire scored an own goal. Cape Verde bounced back after their horrendous performance against Cameroon, with Dini finding the back of the net. Libya scored from a penalty against Mauritius before they equalized, but then Libya found their winner before halftime and nothing happened after that. Angola got a crucial 3 points with a 1-0 win over Eswatini, Mabululu scoring the goal. Mauritius scored 2 goals in the first half against Eswatini to barely stay alive. Now there is a 2-point gap from first to fourth, while Mauritius are just hanging on. Morocco scored 2 goals from Ziyech and Ben Sajir to win 2-1 against Zambia, the only team with a shot against Morocco. They followed that up, thrashing Congo 6-0. Niger were awarded the easiest 3 points they'll ever earn after Congo refused to travel to Dr. Congo for their home match. Tanzania got 3 crucial points in the hunt for second place, beating Zambia 1-0 thanks to a single goal by Waziri. Tanzania and Niger are both right behind Morocco, but let's be real, they don't stand a chance. But they both will be fighting for second place, while both Zambia and Congo will want to forget this window. In Group F, a heavyweight battle between Gabon and Ivory Coast happened, with the Ivorians prevailing after a single goal by Seko Fofana again. They then couldn't get past Kenya. Gabon continued their bottle drop, conceding to Gambia, but then the second half began, and immediately Gabon woke up. Alavinia equalizing before Aubameyang finally made his return to give Gabon the lead. And 1 minute later, Rwanda sealed the deal. Burundi fell behind to Kenya before Abdullah saved Burundi. Burundi then beat Seychelles 3-1 with Ghana Kimana scoring a brace. Kenya only got 2 points, but they did hold Ivory Coast to a draw, so that is a huge morale boost. Gambia, despite beating the Seychelles, have been extremely underwhelming, so Ivory Coast remain top with Gabon just 1 point behind them. Burundi will be more than happy with their performances and are surprisingly third, while Kenya yet again choked the lead, but at least you aren't Gambia, who lost to Burundi. And Gambians, you may be more miserable than your average emo kid in middle school, but at least you have a win. And Seychelles fans, you may be suffering from depression, but at least you have the sickest flag. In Group F, Algeria were playing Guinea and fell behind, but then immediately responded. Unfortunately for Algeria, the spirits of their most recent AFCON performances are still haunting them. After that horrible performance, they conceded early this time to Uganda, but knowing they couldn't have another disaster class, came back with Awar and Benrahma scoring the goals. Uganda before this match got a narrow win versus Botswana with a goal from Shaban. Mozambique got 2 crucial wins, 2-1 against Somalia with Amade and Ratifo scoring, and against Guinea, who had the chance to go first but conceded a last-minute penalty. Botswana then got a win to stay alive. Looking at this table, it is extremely tight with Algeria and Mozambique of all teams tied on points with Botswana, Guinea, and Uganda tied on 6 points as well. While Somalia have 0 points, but they shouldn't be too disappointed as they are still putting up good fights, but just have fallen short. Equatorial Guinea have been getting screwed over left, right, and center, including with a penalty call against Tunisia, which made them lose the match. Tunisia then couldn't beat Namibia again. Namibia couldn't get a win this window after having the lead, but then choking against Liberia. Speaking of Liberia, they could barely escape Sao Tome and Principe at the death. Malawi got a win versus a horrible Sao Tome and Principe side before losing to a late Equatorial Guinean goal. Tunisia are top, but there are still loads of questions to be asked. Namibia are somehow fraudulently in second, while somehow Liberia are right behind them. Malawi could have been second, but they lost to Equatorial Guinea. Equatorial Guinea would be second if it wasn't for them constantly getting screwed over, and Sao Tome and Principe have 0 points too. Comoros took their lead against Madagascar after Rafael Losin made the Comoros hidden beach. They did redeem themselves with a 2-0 win over Chad with Malita and Ben scoring. Ghana played in some astonishing games, first against Mali where they fell behind, but they came back with Jordan Ayew scoring the winner. Then they played Central African Republic, and a Jordan Ayew penalty gave them the lead, but it wouldn't last long as Car striker Mafuta, I think that's how you pronounce it, scored 2 goals. Going into the second half, Ghana were 2-1 down, but locked in, and Jordan Ayew got his second before Fatawu gave Ghana a lead back, and then Jordan Ayew completed his hat-trick. Mafuta also completed his hat-trick, but it was too little, too late. Madagascar and Mali could only share points with each other, and before the Ghana match, Central African Republic barely won against Chad to keep their hopes alive. Now the Comoros are at risk of having their dream run ended, but they are still top of the group, ahead of Ghana on goal difference. Madagascar have done amazing this window, getting points against the top teams, while Mali, who have been awful so far, have only 1 point this window, and the Central African Republic are still alive and hungry. The best second place teams on course for the Next round are Gabon, Ghana, Mozambique, and Namibia. Then you have hungry teams including Senegal, South Africa, Libya, Niger, and Guinea-Bissau. Finally, we're done with Africa. Now it's time for the easier confederations, including CONCACAF.